Moving on to last chapter, chapter 21, miscellaneous of CGST Act 2017. Section 143 deals with job work procedure. A registered principal can send his inputs or capital goods without payment of taxes to a job worker, and from there on he can send to another job worker and so on. But he has to bring back his inputs within 1 year, and if it is capital goods, it is 3 years. When we talk about capital goods, we are not discussing about tools, dice, jigs, molds, fixtures. There is no time limit to bring back these kind of capital goods. And the principal can also supply such inputs within 1 year and capital goods within 3 years directly from the job worker premises, provided he is declaring the job worker premises as his place of business. And in couple of instances, he need not declare the job worker premises as place of business for supplying directly from that premises. That is when the job worker is already a GST registered, or if the principal is engaged in supply of notified goods by the commissioner, then in both these instances he need not declare the job worker premises as place of business. Without doing that, he can directly supply the inputs or capital goods from the job worker premises. And it has been provided that the period of 1 year or 3 years for inputs and capital goods can be extended by the commissioner by another 1 year for inputs and 2 years for capital goods respectively. Principal will be responsible for keeping the proper accounts, and if inputs are not received back or supplied within the time limits mentioned, 1 year or extended time limits, then it is deemed that it has been supplied to the job worker on the day it was sent to the job worker. Similarly, for capital goods, if it is not received back or supplied within the 3 years time period, or if there is an extension by another 2 years, then that shall be deemed to be supplied to the job worker on the day it was sent to the job worker. And any waste or scrap which is getting generated during the job work process, the registered job worker shall supply the same. And if job worker is unregistered, in that case principal shall supply that. Section 144, presumption as to documents in certain case. Any document produced by a person, seized from any person, received from outside India in course of proceedings, and such document is used as evidence against him, the court shall presume two things. One is truth of the contents, and second, signature and every other part is in that person's handwriting. Also, the court shall admit the document as evidence even if it is not duly stamped as. Section 145, admissibility of microfilms, fax copies of documents and computer printouts as documents and as an evidence. Notwithstanding any other law, microfilm, fax, printed material by computer, information stored electronically including hard copy, shall be deemed to be a document and admissible in any proceedings without original. In any proceedings, a certificate identifying the document containing the statement and describing the manner in which it was produced, giving details of device involving documents for showing the document was produced by the computer, shall be evidence of any matter stated in the certificate, even if it is stated to the best of the knowledge. Section 146, Common Portal. Government on recommendations of Council shall notify the Common GST Portal. Section 147, Deemed Exports. Government on the recommendations of the Council shall notify certain supplies as deemed exports, even if the goods does not leave India and the payment is in INR, if such goods are manufactured in India. So the only condition is such goods shall be manufactured in India. Section 148, special procedure for certain processes. Government on recommendations of Council notify certain class of persons and special procedures with respect to registration, payment and administration. They can specify separate process for certain class of persons. Section 149, GST compliance rating. Every registered person may be assigned a GST compliance rating based on his record of compliance, determined on the basis of such parameters. Scores are updated at periodical intervals and placed in public domain, which is not fully implemented as on date. Section 150, obligation to furnish information return. Any person being a taxable person, local authority or public body or association, state government or central government authority for VAT, excise, customs, income tax authority, banking company, state electricity board, register or sub-register, companies registrar, registrar of motor vehicles, collection of land revenues, recognized stock exchange, depositories, RBI officer, GST and person with unique identification number, any other specified person shall furnish an information written as prescribed. If information written which is furnished is defective, then it shall be intimated to them, and the officer will give an opportunity to rectify that within 30 days. And if it is not rectified, then that is treated as a non-furnishment of information written. Not furnished within 150 subsection 1 or 2, then the said authority will serve notice to furnish within 90 days. Section 151, power to collect statistics. Commissioner by notification direct to collect statistics. He can call concerned persons to furnish information in such form and manner. Section 152, bar on disclosure of information. Matter given for Section 150 or Section 151 shall not be published or used for the purposes of any proceedings without prior approval of the concerned person. No person shall be permitted to see or access any information under Section 151 statistics except for prosecution or if he is engaged in compilation or computerization. Apart from that, nobody is permitted to access such statistics which are collected as per Section 151. Commissioner shall publish in public interest even without prior approval. If Commissioner feels that yes, in the public interest it is necessary to publish that information, then he can do so without any prior approval of the concerned person. Section 153, taking assistance from an expert. Any officer not below assistant commissioner may take any help of expert at any stage of proceedings, so that power is given to them. And section 154, power to take samples. Commissioner or authorized officer may take samples and provide receipt. Section 155, burden of proof. Any person claiming eligibility for input tax credit, burden of proving lies with him. Section 156, persons deemed to be public servants. All the persons who are discharging functions under this act shall be deemed to be public servants under Indian Penal Code. Section 157, protection of action taken under this act. No suit, prosecution or any other legal proceedings can be initiated against President, State President, members, officers or other employees of appellate tribunal or any person authorized by the appellate tribunal. So no suit, prosecution or other legal proceedings against any officer appointed or any person authorized by the act. Section 158, disclosure of information by a public servant. So any public servant, if he is receiving any particulars in the course of his official duties, then it shall not be disclosed to any other persons. No court shall require any officer to produce before it in respect of particulars mentioned in subsection 1, and only in the below listed cases the public servant can disclose the informations for the purposes of prosecution under Indian Penal Code or PCA or any other law, to state government or central government or to any person in implementation of this act, lawful exercises under this act, to civil court where government or any other authority is a party, any officer appointed for audit, for inquiry into the conduct of an officer, central government or state government for levy of tax, lawful exercise by public servant or state authorities, inquiry against advocate or chartered accountant or CMA or CS, agency appointed for data entry, government officer under any law, for publication of information if commissioner desires in public interest. So only in all these cases the public servant can disclose the information. Section 159, publication of information in respect of persons in certain cases. Commissioner, if necessary in the public interest, may publish name and particulars. No publication in relation to any penalty until the time for presenting the appeal has expired. So you have to wait until the time for presenting the appeal has expired. So before that you should not publish anything. Section 160, assessment proceedings etc. not to be invalid on certain grounds. So these proceedings are not invalid merely by reason of mistake, defect or omission if such proceedings are in conformity to the intent. The service of notice, order or communication shall not be called in question if it has been already acted not If it has already been acted and not questioned in the earlier proceedings, then you cannot question it now. Section 161, rectification of errors apparent on the face of record. If there are any errors apparent on the face of the record that can be rectified on own, or if it is brought to the notice of the officers within 3 months, no rectification after 6 months, and 6 months shall not apply for correction or arithmetic or clerical error. For arithmetic or clerical errors, there is no time limit of 6 months. Rectification, if adversely affects, then you have to follow the principles on natural justice. If Section 162, bar on jurisdiction of civil courts other than 117 and appeals in High Court, and 118 appeals in Supreme Court, there is no jurisdiction for civil courts to interfere with the GST matters. Section 163, levy of fee. For providing any copy of order or document on application, you have to pay certain prescribed fee. Then Section 164, power of government to make rules. Government, on the recommendations of council by notification, can make rules for carrying out provisions, and rules for all matters or any provisions, and they have the power to give retrospective effect to rules not earlier than the date of provisions. Contravention of any rules will be liable for a penalty up to 10,000 rupees. Similarly, government has the power to make regulations which has been prescribed under Section 165. Board by notification can make the regulations to carry out the provisions. Section 166, laying of rules, regulations and notification. So every rule made by the government or regulation made by the board and every notification issued by the government shall be laid before each house of the parliament, and it will have effect in modified form or no effect as the case may be, without prejudice to the validity of anything previously done. Section 167, delegation of powers. Commissioner by notification can delegate any power which is exercisable by one can be exercised by another. And Section 168, power to issue instructions or directions. For the purposes of uniformity, they can issue instructions or directions to the central tax officers, and all officers shall follow that. Commissioner specified in the prescribed sections shall also mean that the commissioner or joint secretary in the board. Section 168A, power of government to extend time limit in certain special circumstances. Government, on the recommendations of council by notification, can extend the time limit due to force majeure events, and the power shall include retrospective effect also, but not prior to the commencement of the act. Section 169, service of notice in certain circumstances. So any decision or summons or orders or notices or other documents shall be served by any of the following methods. It can be given directly or by messenger or courier also, or it can be sent through registered post or speed post or courier. It can be sent through email, it can be sent through common portal GSTN, and it can be through newspaper publication, and it can be through affixing at place of business or residences. It is deemed to be served on the date of the tender or publication, and if it is post, it is deemed to be delivered at the expiry of normal time taken unless contrary is proved. Section 170 talks about rounding off of taxes, etc. If it is more than 50 paise or equal to 50 paise, you have to round it off to 1 rupee, and if it is less than 50 paise, we have to ignore it. Section 171, anti-profiteering measure. Any reduction in rate or benefit of ITC shall be passed on to the recipient. Government, on recommendations of the council by notification, constitute an authority to examine the anti-profiteering issue, and they shall exercise the powers and discharge such functions as prescribed. If authority concludes that there is a profiteering, then there is a penalty which he has to pay, which is 10% of the profit. No penalty if the profited amount is deposited within 30 days of the order by the authority. Section 172, removal of difficulties. Difficulty in giving effect to any provisions. Government, on recommendations of council by general or special order, make provisions consistent with the Act. No such order after expiry of 5 years from the date of commencement of the Act. Every order under this shall be laid before each House of the Parliament. Section 173, Amendment of Act 32 of 1994. So the Chapter 5 of Finance Act 1994, which deals with service tax, shall be omitted. Section 174, Repeal and Saving. So from the date of commencement of GST Act, the following acts are hereby repealed: Central Excise Act 1944, Medicinal and Toilet Preparations Excise Duties Act 1955, Additional Duties of Excise Goods of Special Importance Act 1957, Additional Duties of Excise Textile and Textile Articles Act 1978, Central Excise Tariff Act 1985. The repeal of the said Acts and Finance Act 1994 shall not revive anything not in force, and it shall not affect any previous operation and orders. It shall not affect any right or privilege accrued or incurred. Incentive on investment shall not continue, affect any dues or may become due or forfeiture or punishment for any offence or violation, and it shall not affect any investigation or proceedings may be levied or imposed as if these acts are not repealed, affect any proceedings relating to appeal, review or reference. So just because the acts have been repealed, it shall not affect these matters. The mention of particular matters referred in subsection 1 and 2 shall not affect application of section 6 of General Clauses Act 1897 with respect to effect of repeal. Thank you.